club was that at?
That was admit that a lot of people don't even realize that.
I've called her. She hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
With the Zulu Nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that again. 30.
You see the works that the so-called white man has done on us? He got us thinking that we sold our own brothers and sisters, or we were sold by our own brothers and sisters. Real quick, give me that. Exodus 11:7, read.
Exodus chapter 11, verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel.
So we're out here to show our so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American brothers and sisters that we are the children of Israel. I'm gonna expound a little further, said. Watch this. It said but against any of the children of Israel, not Ham, because the Egyptians derived from Ham. Read.
Shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that you may know how that the Lord doth put a difference.
We will know that the Lord does put a difference between what?
Between the Egyptians.
Between the Egyptians, read.
And Israel.
And Israel. There's a difference. Yes, we have similar skin complexions. At times we have similar hair textures. But the blood that runs through our veins do not derive from the same progenitor. Now, we're going to get the progenitor of the so-called African nation, because Africa is a continent of over 50 countries and nations, Egyptians being one of them. I mean, you've heard of the history of Moses, Exodus, right? Yeah, get him. How was Moses, baby Moses, able to be disguised as an Egyptian and considered the prince of Egypt all of those years when he was truly not an Egyptian? That's clearly fact. He was an Israelite from the tribe of Levi.
That's right.
Right? Because of his skin complexion, he was able to blend in with the Hamites, or in this case, the Egyptians. Same way the angel told Joseph to get Mary and young baby Jesus, flee into the mountains of Egypt, to flee from Herod. He was trying to kill all of the 2, 3, 4-year-old toddlers around the age of Jesus. So to protect Christ, they fled into Egypt. If Egyptians were to pick of like Charlie Heston now, because a white man, how then would he have been able to blend in with the Egyptians? Right? So we agree the Egyptians are dark-skinned people. Right? Read that.
This is a Zondervan Bible Dictionary definition of Ham.
These are the scholars. They know something many of our brothers and sisters don't know. We know how to get some ice house though. Read.
The Ham, the youngest son of Noah.
Ham was the youngest son of Noah. You're familiar with the history of Noah? Yeah. Noah's Ark. He was warning our people, as we are today, that destruction was coming. So Ham is the youngest of the three. You had Ham, Japheth, and Shem. Read.
The youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood.
So you had Noah, Ham, Japheth, and Shem, and their wives. That's 8 people. They were the 8 people who were able to survive through the flood, meaning God destroyed every being on the earth. God don't change. That's what we're trying to warn y'all over there. And he ain't changing. And this time he said, I'm not going to destroy it with water. He's going to destroy it with what? Fire.
That's right.
Cleanse with fire. The furnace of adversity. Read.
He became the progenitor.
They said Ham became the progenitor. He progenerated. He's the forefather of who?
Of the dark races.
Of the dark races. Let's see who.
not the Negro.
What did they call us when they sold us into slavery on slave ships? Negroes, niggers, parch monkeys, etc., etc. All of those bywords, which are curses to this day. You understand that, my brother? What's your name?
Quid.
Huh?
Quid.
Speak up, speak.
Quid.
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 Quid, we're showing our brothers and sisters that we're kings on this earth. Oh, go ahead.
He said quiz.
Quiz, right?
Yeah.
All right, bet. Hold on.
I got a job to do.
Hey, real quick, listen to the details of this so you'll know you're not Egyptian. Read.
Not the Negroes,
Not the Negroes, the Israelites. Read.
but the Egyptians.
But who?
The Egyptians.
But who?
The Egyptians.
Who else?
Ethiopians.
Uh-huh.
Libyans.
All African descendants.
And Canaanites.
And Canaanites, that was the land of Canaan. The descendants of Ham.
You can't look at
We
it.
descend from Shem.
So do you understand what's being brought out here?
Yeah, I got
Okay. Hey, Quez, where you going, bro? I got something for you. 1 second. Give me 1 second. I got something for you. So what he's showing you is that Noah had 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The Egyptians come from Ham. We do not. You understand that?
Yeah.
So if we're not Ham, do you know the story of Noah and the ark and the boat, and they took all the animals?
Yeah.
All right. If we're not Ham, then who are we? You got any idea, bro? Hey, let me ask you, bro, right here in the blue. What's your nationality?
American.
American. What's your nationality, Quez?
American.
What's your nationality?
I got to find something goddamn problem.
Okay, everybody say American, right? Hey, what's your name, bro, in the blue?
Hakeem.
Hakeem. Okay, Hakeem, Quez, and
I
Sad.
got to find something problem on my name messed up.
okay. So check this out for a second. What were we before we were American? Because we've only been American for 400 years. Quez, how did we get to this side of the world?
Slave ship. Yeah.
Say it again.
Slave ship.
Slave ships, right? So before the slave ships, what were black people? Because we weren't always American.
How long we going back?
Said, what were we?
African American.
No, you weren't.
I'm gonna just say African.
We were slave.
African, okay. So what'd you say, Quez?
Never mind.
What'd you say?
Oh, you talking about in back of the day?
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, we were slave.
We were slaves, but before slaves.
I don't know.
Okay, that's what I like to hear. You don't know, okay. A lot of our people, we don't know. Because, how old are you, Quez?
15.
15. In school, if you notice, history is taught at the point where black people become slaves. We don't have any idea what we were before we were slaves. So, Quez, I want you to hear this. You said we came over here on boats, right? All right, check this out. Listen to this. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 1. Listen up, bro.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt not hearken, and it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
You hear that, bro? So God said that if we kept his commandments, he was going to set us on high above all nations of the earth. Now let me ask you, all 3 of you here, are black people on high above all nations? Are we the top ruling race of the earth? You would say so? Really? Why you say that? Say it again?
We're natural, we're the first.
But why are we the poorest? Why do we fill up the prison houses? Why is there so much black on black crime in our communities?
We've been mind manipulated to do that.
No, that's not. I'm gonna show you what the scriptures say. I understand your point of view, but are we the top? Are we the top nation on the planet Earth?
Yeah.
But it don't look like it. We seem like the poorest. Would you say the same thing, Quez?
We still is the top nation. We might be the poorest, but we still the top nation.
But are we in rulership?
No.
We're not. That's the point I'm making. We're being ruled, right? There's white people above us, and we're at the bottom, for the most part. I want you to hear this. So this was God promised us. He said if we kept his commandments, Quez, listen up. Where you going, bro? Listen up. All right. He said that if we kept his commandments, he's going to set us on high above all nations of the earth. I want you to jump down to verse 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
This is God telling the Israelites that if they didn't listen to him, read,
to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So God said if we didn't keep his commandments, curses were going to come upon us and they were going to overtake us. So now, when we read in the scriptures, we got to see who do these curses identify? What's your, you say, did I ask you what your nationality is? Okay. What's your nationality?
I don't have a nationality.
You don't have one. Okay. What's your race?
Aboriginal.
Say it again?
Aboriginal.
What does that mean?
It means
Huh?
first.
So is there a land of Aboriginal?
Yeah, we own it. It just means goddamn right about other folks.
So where would you see yourself on this sign? Would it be Native American?
Those are all just titles. We're all the same.
These are titles. These were the titles that were given to us.
Titles, but we're all the same.
What do you mean?
Like, we're all tied to the same black. And like I said, Hispanics, we're all the same. We just been split.
We've been split up, correct. So we've been split up. We've been given different names. These are the tribes that God called us in the beginning. We don't know these names. Judah, Benjamin, Levi. When you read in the scriptures, there were 12 tribes that we came out of. These are the names that our oppressors gave us in slavery to separate us. So when you look at somebody like yourself, right, and maybe somebody who's Hispanic, we've gone through the same things. We've both been enslaved. We've both been conquered. We've both been taught different languages. The only thing that separates us is who colonized us and the language we speak. For example, a so-called Mexican, right? He was colonized by the Spaniard, so he learned Spanish. Somebody like us, we were colonized by the British white man, so we learned English. We both went through the same things, we just spoke a different language. So I want to show you something. Go to Jeremiah 50 and 33.
Bring it up.
Jeremiah 50 and 33. So we're teaching our peoples that these names that were given to us, these were names that were given to us to enslave us, so we forget who we really are, which are the children of Israel. There's power in knowing that you're a child of Israel. Read that.
Jeremiah chapter 50, verse 33. Thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
So in the scriptures, the children of Israel are these tribes from Ephraim on down to Naphtali. The children of Judah are Judah, Benjamin, and Levi.
That's right.
It says they were oppressed together. So if you notice, next to these names are the names American blacks, West Indies, Haitians, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, Dominicans, Guatemalans, American Indians, so on and so forth. These were all nations that all went through atrocities that we can't explain.
Right.
Do you believe God loves everybody equally? Hey, bro, a question for you. Do you believe God loves everybody equally? What do you think? Okay. Because most people, when we ask them that question, they say yes right away. They go, yes. And I say, well, prove it to me. Why do you say you don't know? You say you feel like he don't.
I don't feel like he doesn't. It ain't no gender. But,
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because if you look at the state of the world, if God loved everybody equally, we would all be treated equally. We all have the same rights. We wouldn't have to go through these things, right? So we gotta ask ourselves, if the world is teaching us that God loves everybody exactly the same, why do we go through so much black on black crime, police brutality? A brother just got murdered at a Walmart right up the street from here. Just got shot in the head. Why are the only our people going through these things? I'm going to show you in the scriptures. Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15. Read that for me one more time.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15.
Bring it out.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So God made a promise, a contract with us. The contract was, if you keep my commandments, I'm going to put you on high above all nations. You're going to rule the world. If you break my commandments, I'm going to curse you, and these curses are going to come upon you, and they're going to overtake you, meaning you're not going to be able to stop them. I want you to jump down to verse 64. Now I have a question for you, bro. And you too. Come a little close. I want you to see something. How do we get to this side of the world? Some of us were, you said Aboriginal, some of us were here. But for the most part, how were a lot of us brought to this side of the world? On what? Say it again? On slave ships. Okay, good. Would you agree? Yeah. It's documented history. Over 100 million slaves were brought from the west coast of Africa to the east coast of the United States from 1619 to about the 1800s. It's called a transatlantic slave trade. I want you to hear this. Read verse 64. Listen up.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64.
Bring it out.
And the Lord shall scatter thee.
The Lord shall what?
Shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other.
So one of the curses was that God was going to scatter us from one end of the earth even to the other. All right? So how are we scattered from one end of the earth even to the other? We were taken from the west coast of Africa and brought, is the map on here? We were taken from the west coast of Africa and brought to the United States. You hear that? Read.
From the one end of the earth even unto the other. And there thou shalt serve other gods.
It says once you got scattered from one end of the earth to the other, there you were going to serve other gods. Read.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Gods that none of our ancestors knew. For example, this right here. Who does the world say that is? They say it's Jesus, right? But how did Jesus really look? He looked like us, right? So why is it that if we were to go to a church and say that's a true image of Christ, the first thing they would say to us is, well, that don't matter. Color don't matter.
Right.
Well, if color didn't matter, why change it from a black man into a white man?
Bring it out.
Color don't matter. The truth matters. And the truth is that Jesus looked just like y'all.
That's right.
And Jesus was an Israelite.
Right.
Let's get it for them real quick. We're going to jump back. I don't want Hebrews. I want Revelation chapter 1. We're going to show y'all where y'all can go in the Bible to prove Jesus was black. Because what is the description you heard of Jesus? Hair like wool, skin like brown. I'm going to show you where you can prove it. Okay? Read.
Revelation chapter 1, verse 14. His head and his hairs were white like wool.
So it's describing the description of Christ. It said that his hair was white like wool, white in color and woolly in texture, like this brother's hair is right now. Wool is the texture. Brother right here in the yellow. Brother right here in the yellow. What kind of people have woolly hair? You listening, bro? Sir? Yeah. What kind of people on the earth have woolly textured hair? Right. Black people, right? So we're reading the description of Christ. Right. It said his hair was white and woolly. Read on.
As white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire.
And his eyes were as a flame of fire. I mean, Christ had red eyes because Christ drank wine. Read on.
And his feet like unto fine brass.
And the color of his feet were like fine brass. What color is brass? It's like you, right? It's dark. Read on.
As if they burned in a furnace.
As if what?
As if they burned in a furnace.
So Christ was so dark, he looked like he burned in a furnace. Christ looked more like you than he did like this man right here.
That's right.
If we was to stand you next to Jesus the Christ, the whole world knows and talks about, y'all would look like relatives. Y'all would look like family. So part of the curses, go back to Deuteronomy 28, verse 64, part of the curses is that once we were scattered from one end of the earth to the other, is that we were going to serve gods that we never knew, like a white image of Christ. Because the color of your God depicts who you are, who you look up to in this earth. Right. If your God is a white, think about it, every nationality, the Buddhists have a Chinese Buddha. The white man has a white God. Right. The Indian man has an Indian God, but the black man has a white God. That don't make no sense, right? So I want you to go back and read that.
The whole thing?
No, start, yeah.
And there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone.
Wood goes into Christianity and the stone goes into Islam. Wood represents the wooden cross, the stone represents the cobblestone that you see in Saudi Arabia. That's right. Read on.
Verse 65.
So now this is the point I want you to hear, bro. Remember I asked you earlier, why is it that if everybody's equal, why do we go through certain things? I want you to hear this next part.
Verse 65. And among these nations shalt thou find no ease.
God said, among these nations, you're never going to find peace. You're never going to find ease. Read on.
Neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest.
It says, neither should the sole of your foot have rest, meaning that you're going to work all the time. You're never going to find ease. Read on.
But the Lord shall give thee there a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind.
God said he was going to make you fearful, trembling heart, sorrow of eyes, failing of mind, meaning that you're always worried about something. The same way you, as a young so-called black man, you get pulled over by the police, instantly you're like, oh, damn. All right, don't move, don't reach, don't do no sudden movements. But a so-called white man can drive, get pulled over. Hey, Chuck, how's it going? Hey, officer. Hey, Deputy Reynolds, how are you? Oh man, we're just gonna write you off. It's just a warning. Don't worry about it. I know your father. He's a senator. He was my teacher. It'd be some stuff like that. But us, we gotta always worry. Why is that? Read on.
And thy life shall hang in doubt.
Thy life shall hang in doubt. Talk about the life of a so-called black man. Your life is always in doubt. Whether it's you worrying about somebody running up on you, or you getting shot by the police, your life is constantly in doubt. Read on.
Before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life.
You hear that?
In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even.
So I want you to jump down to verse 68.
Verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
With what?
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
God said he was going to bring us into a land like Egypt, but you were going to go on ships. So this shows you, because you look at history. When have any other nation on the planet Earth been brought to a different land, scattered across the world through ships?
Bring it out.
There is none. It's only our people. So the scripture says we were going to go into a land like Egypt, but this time we were going to go on ships. So let's talk about Egypt, because if you know anything about geography, the land of Israel and the land of Egypt are right next to each other.
Right.
This is Israel, and this is Egypt. You don't need a ship to get from there to there, right? You can walk it. So why did God say, I'm going to bring you into Egypt, but this time you're going to go on ships?
Bring it out.
I want you to go to Exodus 1. Exodus 1 and 13.
Bring it out.
Exodus 1 and 13.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor.
So when we were in the land of Egypt back then, we worked for the Egyptians. They were our slave masters.
Right.
Just like how they were here. The so-called white man was our slave masters here. In Egypt, we've served the same slavery. Read.
Verse 14. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage.
And they made their lives hard with hard slavery, bondage of slavery. Read on.
In mortar and in brick and in all manner of service in the field.
You hear that? It said that basically, you listen, bro? Basically, it said that in Egypt, we built Egypt in mortar and in brick. So when we ask, when people say, oh, how were the pyramids built? We built the pyramids.
That's right.
In mortar and in brick and in all manner of what?
And in all manners of rigor.
And in all manner of what?
Oh, and in all manner of service in the field.
In all manner of service in the field. So here, do we work in the fields? Not now, but in history, black people.
Yeah.
Do we work in the fields?
Of course.
Probably in the fields right here in Macon, Georgia, right?
Probably.
Tobacco fields, cotton fields. What it's showing you is that in Egypt, we were in the same conditions that we were in here. America and Egypt have a lot of similarity. That's why when you look on the back of the dollar bill, what do you see? You see a pyramid, right? Why would they put a pyramid on the back of a dollar bill? There's a lot of similarities. The same slavery that we did in mortar and in brick to build these pyramids is the same slavery that we did to build the White House,
Right.
to build downtown Atlanta,
Right.
to build Savannah, to build all these places around us. So it says, I want you to hear this. I want to ask him, what's your name, bro? Antoine. Antoine, how do we get to this side of the world? Well, slave ships. So check this out. Deuteronomy 28.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt.
So we established that Egypt represents slavery. Read on.
Again with ships.
With what?
With ships.
With what?
With ships.
So the Bible is telling us long before this happened that we were going to go into slavery, but this time we were going to go on ships. Now listen to this part. Read.
by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies.
It says once you got off those ships, you are going to be sold unto your enemies. So what happened to us once we got off those ships? Were we not sold to our enemies?
Bring it out.
We got off them ships and they started to auction us. Sale. They would auction young women, young men, old people. We were sold unto our enemies. Read on.
Sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen.
For bondmen, meaning slave men, and what?
And bondwomen.
And slave women. So is that not history? Did that not happen to our people?
Bring it out.
Does this seem like it describes our people? Which ones do you think are you're not sure about?
All of them, they go for slavery. Some of them did rebel. And got down, that was you get Florida and the Haitians. So we have a school in Riverdale, Georgia.
Oh, you talking about how the Haitians rebelled?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the 1800s. Right, so this is a blanket curse that God put across the whole nation, right? It don't mean that every single individual was going to go through it, but for the most part, you look at our people. If I ask you, did black people go to slavery? You're going to say, yeah, right? That's history. So, yeah, we had brothers like in Haiti. We had, what's the guy, Toussaint, Louverture Toussaint? He was the first Haitian slave revolutionary. He was the one that freed the slaves in the 1850s. But you look at the land of Haiti. I've been to Haiti. I've been to Port-au-Prince. Those people are very poor, so the curses still fit them. They may have got out of slavery, but their life still hangs in doubt. They're still at the bottom of society. Haiti is the poorest country on the west side of Western Hemisphere. Haiti is the poorest. So these curses were put upon us for us to find that a sign and a wonder with verse 49.
49, 47.
47.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 47. Verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder.
So these curses that we're talking about, the slavery, the selling into slavery, the ships, the being scattered, is supposed to be upon us for a sign. What's the purpose of a sign?
Bring it out.
To warn. What else? To foretell. To teach. To inform. To let somebody. If I'm looking at the sign, I know that now Forrest B. Johnson is right here in Macon, Georgia. So the purpose of a sign is for us to see it and hear it and be like, oh, okay, I know what that means. So these curses were upon us for what?
For a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever.
Until the forever means that until we keep God's commandments, it's going to be upon our seed. Read on.
Verse 47.
Hey, stick around, sis. Stick around. Just give me 1 minute. I want to show you something. Read.
Verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
So God said because we didn't want to serve him, then we were going to serve our enemies. Read on.
Which the Lord shall send against thee.
So this was a punishment for us transgressing against God's laws. Read on.
In hunger and in thirst.
Meaning that if you want food or water, where you got to go? To your enemy.
Right.
We don't control most of the land. We might have a little bit of land, but we don't control the cattle. You can't catch rainwater here. You get arrested. If you don't pay your water bill, they turn off your water. That's why it says in thirst. In hunger, you want food, you got to go to Little Caesars. You got to go to the deli. You got to go to Walmart. None of these, basically God's saying none of the resources were going to be owned by our own people. Even Africa. Africa is the most nutrient, resource-rich continent on the planet.
Right.
But the people there are dirt poor. And you have to ask yourself, how is it that another race can come from one side of the earth, go to Africa, extract all the diamonds and the stuff that you use for your cell phone, the bauxite, and sell it back to them, and the people there are poor? It's because it's a curse that God put upon us, so we would repent. Read on.
And in nakedness, and in the want of all things.
Meaning anything you think that you want, a passport, a driver's license, a job, you got to go to your enemy. Read on.
And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck.
So, what is a yoke of iron? This is so that's a chain. A chain. Sort of, yes. But it said, he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck. These are yokes of iron. They were shackles. Chains, but very heavy chains. Not to wear for style, but these were put upon our neck during slavery. You know what the purpose of these little spokes were sticking out? Yes, that's one. Yes, that's one reason. So some of them had bells. These ones, they don't have bells, but some of them had bells. The purpose of the one sticking out long was so if you ran through the trees, you would get stuck. So the slaves, when they would run away, they would run, and you see how dense these trees are here in Georgia, Macon, Georgia. Imagine trying to run through these trees. You running from slavery. You would get stuck. You couldn't get very far. God said these were going to be one of the signs. This nation was going to put a yoke of iron upon your neck. Read on.
Until he have destroyed thee.
Until he have destroyed thee, meaning that once the yokes of iron came off our necks, we were going to be destroyed as mentally. So do we still have these metal shackles on our neck today, physically? Mentally, that's the point. We do have them mentally, meaning that you keep a dog chained down for so long, and you take the leash off. He only gonna go but so far.
Used to scream black power while heroin was pushed, but at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.